Hi there, I'm Zanette Negron, and our special guest today is Daniel Corona with the San Joaquin County AIDS Foundation and AIDS Walk. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Excellent. Now, the foundation has been around since, what, 84? The San Joaquin.
The San Joaquin AIDS Foundation, I just want to correct that, it's San Joaquin AIDS Foundation, not county.
Oh, I apologize. Good.
Although we do cover the whole county. We have been in business since 1983, since the first case of AIDS was diagnosed in San Joaquin County. And we were incorporated in 1984, I believe.
In 1984.
Mm-hmm.
For the viewers that assume that they know what the foundation does, you want to elaborate just a little bit of what you're doing?
Well, what we do, I work for the foundation. I work for them for the last 13 years. I do educational presentations, HIV 101, in classrooms, workplaces. I've been to a few high schools, businesses, churches, youth groups, but I also do street outreach, working in the community with people who are at risk for HIV infection, whether it be IV drug users or the PC term, commercial sex workers or prostitutes. So I go out in the community, offer them condoms and testing. And then another side of what we do is follow-up with case managers. Wayne Mock and Myra Tong are case managers, and they link people with services once they find out that they're HIV positive.
Right.
Or HIV infected.
Or HIV infected.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, right now, what are you seeing in regards to? I mean, it's a safe place to contact the foundation, and I think that's really a message we want to have out there. There are services out there, and it's not just for individuals, as you mentioned, but for anyone out there. Some of the stats you were sharing with me, can you share the viewers the stats?
Well, with statistics, what public health is telling us since April of 2006, we've had almost 500 new cases of HIV infection.
That's within our county?
Within San Joaquin County. But 34%, or one-third of those cases, were people under the age of 29, which is sad because we've been dealing with this epidemic for 30 years. There was that big news announcement that 30 years, June 6th was when they first started seeing cases of HIV. But these people have grown up in a world with these HIV messages, but something's not sinking in. You know, they're not getting it. They don't have a Magic Johnson like people did 20 years ago, that, you know, an athlete can get infected.
Exactly.
You know.
And so that's one of your messages as well. Anyone can get infected. So
right, anybody can get infected, young, old. 50% of all the new HIV infections across the United States are people under the age of 25, and yet also 15% of all the new infections are people over the age of 50. So, you know, our kids are having sex, and our parents and grandparents are having sex, and they're getting infected, and we don't want to think about either one of them having sex.
Well, but still, there is a risk that you're taking. Now, there's another statistic that you said, out of the one that is...
Oh, for every one person that knows that they're infected, there's 5 people that don't, because most people don't show any symptoms.
Exactly.
You know, flu-like symptoms, nausea, diarrhea, rapid weight loss, fever, that achy kind of feeling where you don't want to get out of bed, and then it goes away. So
you may feel that you may have the flu, but it really might be another sign. And so the foundation is there. So if someone, let's say, is concerned, or they have a loved one or someone they want to speak to about this, what would you recommend they do?
Well, I would recommend that they don't go to the internet and check symptoms and think, oh my God, I have AIDS, unless you get an HIV test. That's the only way to know for sure. Right. Which you can get at our office for free, and we don't use needles. And we don't draw blood. We just take a little swab in your mouth, and then 2 weeks later you come back for the results.
So, which is nice. It's non-invasive, it sounds like. It's private, and so there is a place where folks can actually go out in the community and find out.
Right. Well, and it's an anonymous test, so we don't take an address or phone number or anything like that.
Very good.
We just give people a lab slip, and we ask that they come back 2 weeks later for the results.
So typically people have a fear factor of what they may not know is better not to know. And unfortunately, you really should, or you recommend that they should contact and find out, and it's safe, and it's easy to do.
We recommend that people get tested because a couple of cases of infections were people that were diagnosed in the emergency room, and they were people that had been in recovery. They hadn't used needles for 20 years.
I see.
They got clean,
Right.
and they thought, I'm good.
Right.
And then they found out in the emergency room that not only did they have HIV, but it had progressed to the stage where they actually had AIDS. And there's a difference between HIV and AIDS.
Absolutely.
People can be HIV positive for years, but there's things in their bodies called T cells or white blood cells, and that's what the virus attacks. And somebody uninfected, you have between 600 and 1,200 T cells on an uninfected person. And when those T cells drop below 200, that's when a person gets an AIDS diagnosis. And then at that time, they usually become more susceptible to other diseases and infections. And it's those other diseases that kill people,
Right.
not HIV.
Now, with that, we know that there's fun also with the foundation. Just in May, correct? You had your AIDS walk.
Right. Well, we not the AIDS Foundation, the AIDS Walk San Joaquin. I know it gets kind of confusing
That's
because
okay.
I wear two hats. I work for the AIDS Foundation,
Right.
but I'm president of another nonprofit
Thank you.
called the AIDS Walk San Joaquin. And we just had our 17th annual walk at Delta College last month, and with participants, walkers, and corporate sponsorships, we finally broke the $20,000 barrier.
Excellent.
We raised over $20,000.
That was great, and I did attend the event. It was wonderfully attended. Really great crowd, mix of people from the community, which was nice.
Right, and
Great
it was
job.
great to see so many people out there because, like I said, we've been doing this for 17 years, and people still don't know that we have an AIDS walk here in our county, because they'll go to San Francisco or Sacramento, and that's great that they support those communities, but that's what they're doing. They're supporting those communities, not where you live.
Right.
Because that money that you give there doesn't come back to us.
So if we can keep it here within the county, that would be wonderful.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now you have other events that are coming up. You have something in October.
The AIDS Walk does have an event where it's called Poker Run. We're collaborating with the AIDS Foundation.
Right, not to confuse the two.
Yes, that can be confusing as well.
But you're collaborating, so it's a combination
Yeah,
of.
we're both hosting it. It's usually a motorcycle event, but if you don't have a motorcycle, you can participate in your car. I forgot, we actually changed the date from October to September because the weather hasn't been good in October the last 2 years.
Well, there we go.
So it's going to be in September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? Daniel did share a brochure, some information, and this is something you can pick up at the foundation office here in Stockton. And also, we will scroll his information and website so you can go on there and look at their calendar and see what events they have going on. It's fun. Anything you want to add?
Well, and if you are uncomfortable in coming into the AIDS Foundation because you still have that fear that people will think you have HIV or AIDS or you're gay, because the virus doesn't discriminate. People do. You know, it can affect anybody. You can also call us and be anonymous. Our phone number is 476-8533, and any staff member should be able to help you with any questions.
That is great. Great information, Daniel. I appreciate you coming. Thank
Sure.
you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.